is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, Ira. There you are. Now, okay, we let's take the Big Three era out of the mix.
Sure.
When the hell did Miami, when was the last time Miami was favored by 2.5 in Denver, a place that has been hell at times for Miami to play? That doesn't happen a lot, right, Ira?
Well, I think you have to look at it this way, Big O. Denver's missing 2 of their 3 best players. They're missing Jamal Murray, and tonight now we found out Michael Porter, who's had back issues going back to his college days, and that's why he was drafted so much later. So that's another issue for them. So you know what? I think the Heat have been favored plenty of times. 1, when they've been fully healthy. 2, when the other team has been decimated. It all comes back to Nikola Jokic. And there's fascinating stats about Nikola Jokic, Big O. He is a guy who, when he's on the court, they've been dominating teams. But as soon as he goes off the court, they get destroyed. And here's something I like about this Miami Heat team and the beauty of it. Yes, I know Kyle Lowry's the engine and he's important. I'm not doubting that. The Heat have lost 2 games this year. 1 that Kyle Lowry missed, they lost in overtime, and 1 when he was injured and couldn't play the fourth quarter. Kyle Lowry's been here, they haven't lost. He's important, but I think this team is constructed, even though I've talked about point guards all season and beyond that they could survive an absence by someone. We saw that in Memphis a week ago Saturday. No Bam Adebayo, the Heat still were able to win against the Grizzlies. So I think when you look at this Heat team, that's what I like versus some other single-star teams. They can be without one of the components, and they will be without one of the components. They are so much better suited to be without Jimmy Butler this season than the 20 games last season he missed, including the 10 with COVID. So I think they're in a better place. Look, if you have one of the greatest players in the world, you ride it. I understand it. You get LeBron, you build around him. You know, teams have gone far. Held out. An awful Cavaliers team, his first tenure there, went to the NBA Finals against the Spurs. But this season, even if you tell me that Kyle is out, or Bam is out, or Jimmy is out, or Tyler is out, to be honest with you, as long as you have 3 of the other 4, I still think you have a competitive chance. It'll be tough for Denver. They're missing a lot tonight. Jokic is not only going to have to triple-double, but is going to have that monster triple-double.
I mean, listen, great players, they are the ultimate difference makers, but it's about depth. And that's one of the things that I think we got to, give the Heat a lot of credit. The depth that they have this year is quality depth now. And now you've got guys that can at least manage things when guys are outside, of course, of the point guard position, which, by the way, I will admit, I took Utah plus 2.5 because I didn't think Lowry would play after Duncan rolled into his ankle. And I was like, okay, maybe they hold him out for a game before the West Coast trip, all that stuff kind of made sense.
I got a question for you. So when I got all those texts and all those DMs, were you like Bill in Los Angeles or Sam in Wichita or all these guys who were so deeply concerned about Kyle Lowry's health? And I got to tell you, I did try the new Seminole app. It does work in the arena. It is real time. The line on the game changes. The odds on the game changes. The over-under changes. So not only am I getting bothered by people like you, Bill in Los Angeles, but now during the games, is Kyle coming back? Is Tyler going to come back? Is Tyler injured? How bad is the thumb? It looks like Kyle hurt his thumb. Like, please, people, I know you have to earn a living, but I'm trying to do my job here now also. It is unbelievable. I honestly think that's the next growth industry in my business is just real-time updates like that. And as you know, because you've been around the Heat during the Riley era, they just don't talk about injuries. They're secretive. All of a sudden, last night, I'm flying here to Denver. I look at the Heat injury update. I'm like, wait a minute, Max Strus is questionable? They said he'd be out, or he said he'd be out at least 2 weeks. We're going on 9 days, and there's a chance he could play tonight here at Ball Arena against the Nuggets. So this stuff constantly changes. I think the wise guys used to be in better shape when they were sort of deeper embedded. The league has really cracked down on the gambling influence. Honestly, in other cases, there's less media than there once was. I mean, I used to travel with 5 different newspaper outlets at sometimes, when the Palm Beach Post, the Miami News, the Miami Herald, then the Athletic, and then us would travel. Right now, it's me and Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald. So first of all, people bother him instead. He knows all the medical stuff. He has a medical degree from UF. Leave me alone on the injuries. I care deeply about your Miami Heat. but I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on the Acura Pembroke Pines report.
By the way, line went down to 1.5. I just made a bet on the Hard Rock app. So if Miami's only favored by 1.5, you just heard Ira with the 2 injuries. So 2.5, I'm going, because hell, I lost that Utah game by 0.5 point actually, because they won by 3. These guys in Vegas are amazing. But so now it was 2.5. Now it went down to 1.5.
You can't say that anymore. These guys in Vegas are amazing. Now you have to say those guys on the reservation are amazing.
Yeah, because they probably have that's right. They have to have their own people come up with their line. They can't unless they piggyback somewhere else with somebody else that they're paying them for a service or something, right?
They all get together. The lines are close enough. They're all watching everyone else's lines. The thing is now, I think the in-game injuries, a lot of the real-time updates are strictly an algorithm of the strength of the team's records, where the score stands, where scores have been trending in third and fourth quarters. And that little injury thing can make a difference when you're sitting there at the arena and picking your real-time option there also. So I think injury reports, as much as the NBA has said they've been transparent, I think they have to be even more so.
Oh, that's 1.5. I like that bargain now. 1.5 with that heat. That's the thing, Ira, watching the defense this team plays, the chemistry already that they have. I mean, we have to attribute this to the amount of, what we watch the Dolphins. There's so much youth and inexperience and coaching inexperience. It's all discombobulated. We look at the Heat staff. It's an experienced staff. We look at the players. There's a lot of experienced players. Even the young guys are now either in their 3rd or 4th seasons.
I will never. You know what? I've always felt that front offices and coaching staffs sort of want to buy when they start with the youth movement stuff, and we're going to grow as a team because it does buy you time. Whether you could look back at the Van Noy move or something like that in veterans. You know what? You and I started this when we started this way back, and then coming over here to your show in the Acura Pembroke Pines report and our Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint, and we were talking about, are the Heat too old? Maybe they will prove to be one day. Maybe you and I, when this show explodes and you go from your 6 million downloads to 600 million, you'll be talking to me about how that 3rd year in the Kyle contract wasn't so good after all. Screw that. And I use a stronger word, but I'm not sure what level you operate here on the Big O show. But
you're going to let it out, baby. You're going to let it out.
I would rather win in the moment. I want to enjoy now. I don't want teams like the Dolphins telling me it's going to get better. The young kids are going to get better. Maybe, but you know what? Maybe not. And even the Panthers, God bless them. They stayed with Huberdeau. They stayed with Barkov. They stayed with Ekblad, and it worked out. But man, that wait was grueling. And they still haven't won a playoff series since the turn of the century. This whole patience thing, as long as we all don't get older, as long as we don't age by the years, I'm willing to wait. But that's not how it works. So yes, the Heat are an old team. Yes, come next year, they might age out, or in 2 years. You know what? Screw it. I worry about the future in 2 years. All of this, are they set up for the future? Screw the future. I want to see my team win today, this week, this month, and in these playoffs. I'll worry about next year.
I'm with you there. By the way, you and I are the older guys. But I need you to talk to your coworker, Omar Kelly, because he's the younger guy. And he should be able to adjust to life and the changes of the world of sports. So I need you to educate this man, because we're having this discussion about Duncan Gesicki. And so because he's all hung up on, Gesicki can't block, so I can't sign him. And there's 4 guys in the entire planet that can actually block.
Do tight ends even block anymore? And even when they drafted Gesicki, they drafted a blocking tight end at the same time because they knew it was either or.
Right. There's 4 of them in the NFL that can actually do what he does and block. And it's like the Waller kid and Kittle and Kelsey. It's only a couple of guys.
Well, take Kyle Pitts. So you wouldn't have. Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver who just happens to line up next to the tackle. Exactly.
Right.
So you wouldn't take him because he can't block. And I know where you're going in this age of specialists. You know what? Wouldn't you rather have someone who does one thing well than someone who is absolutely on a scale of 1 to 10, 5s across the board? Oh, great. He's mediocre at blocking and he's mediocre at receiving. Yay. You're going nowhere with that. Sports has become the era of the specialist. We've seen that. That's why you take a Kyle Pitts early in the draft. You don't say, well, it's really going to hamper our running game. No, you bring in another guy and you go to a 2 tight end alignment, which you have to when you're on the goal line or even when you're in the red zone and you deal with it that way. I totally agree with the age of specialist. I'm getting that right now with Duncan Robinson. He's a one-trick pony. He's not doing his one trick.
Ira, you're like me. You follow all sports. Can you find a baseball player that can hit the deep ball, can hit opposite field and bunt?
Right. We talk about 5-tool players. Oh, you got to be a 5-tool player. You know what? If you're a great 3-tool player, I mean, even Giancarlo Stanton and all the strikeouts, or Judge in the same way. Hey, but they give you enough RBI, they give you enough home runs that you work out the rest of it. No one's going to be Ohtani. No one's going, well, he's a great hitter, but he can't pitch, or he's a great pitcher, but he can't hit. You have to do something well. You have to do something extremely well. If you do, you work around it. Look at all the NFL quarterbacks who can pass but can't run. I'd still rather have that than an NFL quarterback who can run but can't pass. Those guys are a dime a dozen. So you have to choose. But the one thing, and God bless Omar, that I've never been able to bring myself to do is to tweet during a game when your team is winning, this team sucks. I can't do that. God bless Omar and his strong opinions. I'm glad he's on with you a couple of times a week because, man, that guy puts it all on his sleeve, and God bless him for that.
He does. But we have to get him to adjust to the life, to the world. It changes. It evolves, whether we like it or not. The NBA is not the same as it used to be. The NFL isn't, and neither is Major League Baseball. Things have evolved in sports, and specialists are, Tony La Russa started with that damn thing, and it's evolved.
But even in football, you're now playing more dime, you're now playing more nickel, you now have third down specialists, and it's just sort of an accepted part of it that it's not, hey, look, in fact, if you can get a great two-way anything in football, a great two-way, in basketball, a 5-tool player in baseball, of course, but those guys don't come along that often, and when they do, you better not screw up your pick and take, the wrong quarterback, because then you're screwed.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, 100%. Tyler Hero, my Lord, unloaded the other night, 6 of 8 from 3-point range, 29 points. I mean, okay, not just 6-man. We're looking at Tyler Hero working his way to the All-Star game.
And maybe most improved player also. But Big O, I got to tell you, when you look at his moments on Saturday, whether it was the 3-pointer at the end of the third quarter, the 3 at the start of the fourth, help closing it out, his most mature moment might have come post-game. When one of the reporters on Zoom asked, so Tyler, do you now feel after talking about Trae Young and Luka Doncic that you should be 6th man of the year because you're that level of player? And he had this great smile and he goes, yeah, I don't want to be on ESPN in the morning. And he's learned that he can get trapped by his words also, and he's going to let his game do the talking. Oh, that's a big step.
But he didn't say that. See, we're roasting him for that comment. He didn't really specifically say it that way. No. The way we're saying, he said that he would like to be considered in that. He never said that I belong there and I want to be. No. And then everybody spun it that way. That's the part that kind of pisses me off.
He told me that the day after in practice that what he said was, I want to be in that level. I believe I can be in that level. And God bless him. Look, from the day he wore that sport coat when he got drafted, the kid had swag. But now he's understanding you have to back up the words. He did 2 years ago in the playoffs, especially against the Celtics. He did not last season. He is now. It's interesting, when I come on with you twice a week here on the Acura Pembroke Pines Report, we'll talk about, is this an anomaly? Is this just a moment for Tyler? I think, you could agree 3 weeks into this, the consistency of Tyler Hero, it's not unexpected anymore. I expect him to come close to 20 points. I expect him to spark the heat off the bench. He's shown and give me no reason not to expect that. Yes, he might still have his Dion Waiters like 1 of 11 clunkers because that's what streak scorers do. But I'm going to have that expectation that when you go to that app and if it says the over-under Tyler Hero 16 points, I might lean more toward the over than I ever would have thought before.
By the way, you nailed one the other day, right? Because I bet it, and I think I won it. What was the other one that we were talking about that there was an over and under?
I don't know, but if I nailed it, I'm just going to shut my mouth and keep on going.
Okay, all right. Because let's see in points, by the way, for today. They don't even have them. They got Butler over and under 21.5. Bam Adebayo over and under 17.5. Kyle Lowry over and under 14.5. Ooh, Duncan Robinson over and under 11.5.
So that's just a matter of whether you think he's going to hit his threes or not, whether he can shoot them at altitude.
It was Duncan. You agreed with me on 10.5.
Yes.
And I bet it. That's what it was. The other
and that's
night.
The game he had 4 threes, right?
Exactly.
15.5.
He had 9 points. He had 9 points at halftime.
Yes.
He had 9 points at halftime. So he right away.
But folks, I never get my commission from the Big O. Never get my kickback on the picks because there's been a lot of stinkers, and there will be a lot of stinkers the rest of the way.
But you get paid at the end of the month, unlike some of the other places that you've been at.
And the check's clear. And here's, I'll let people on a little on the inside. I don't have a Venmo account. My wife does. So for my wife, this is the best thing ever. I work. She gets the money. She couldn't be happier.
Yes. But you got to admit, we're the fastest paying employer that you've ever had outside of the Sun Sentinel, of course.
Yeah, which every 2 weeks for 37 years. I'm not complaining either. All good.
Sun Sentinel's God. I'm not there to replace the Sun Sentinel. I'm just saying, we're much more responsible in our area than the other places we've been associated with at times. That's all I'm saying. All right. So what do you like? Duncan Robinson over and under 11.5? You like that one?
I'm going to take over. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. That's the way the Nuggets want to play. I also believe Duncan's going to come around and he's going to have another 1 to 2 of those games. He knows that it's time.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We have just placed a bet on the Heat and Duncan Robinson during this segment.
I don't know if I'm going to be back Wednesday or Friday this week, folks.
By the way, let's tell the folks Wednesday we have again, because he's on the road.
The late show.
The beauty of digital is we adjust, baby. It doesn't matter. I always tell these guys, hey, they always tell me, hey, can we move this year? I'm like, dude, relax. Don't worry about it. We'll adjust. Well, yes, let's move it. No problem. So Inside the Paint will be at noon on Wednesday. So noon to 1, we will have Inside the Paint this Wednesday.
Lunch with Ira and Clay. So people rearrange your lunch breaks at work so you can be on the computer or on your phone at noon to 1 Eastern time. It'll be 9 for you out in LA. And as I always tell Owen, I even texted him ahead of this, it's always fear of God that the hotel wireless will work. It used to be when the internet started, every hotel had hard lines. So you'd be able to hardwire and get in. Now I'm literally walking my computer around the room to find the best hotspot. And
some places still have a hardwire hookup for you still. Some of them do. Right.
You know what? I plugged in. There's one actually over here to my left. Neither of them were live. I was actually on the phone with the hotel engineer this morning, getting the upgrade note there just so I could get this to work. So I'll be in LA, both talking to you, to Clay on Wednesday, and then you again on the Acura Pembroke Pines report on Friday from LA. Kind of weird. I love it. 2 games, Lakers, Clippers, consecutive nights. Get to spend 3 days in LA. And I got to tell you, if you're going to play the Lakers, get them now. Kendrick Nunn is out. Trevor Ariza is out. LeBron James is out. They are a hurting team. Anthony Davis had a stomach ailment and Portland wasn't able to return. This is a good time to get the Lakers for us, not for ESPN or a national broadcast. And also, then you're getting the Clippers the night after without Kawhi Leonard, who might miss most or all of the season. So yes, it's a tough road trip. But let's recap for the folks who maybe joined us late. Tonight, you're getting the Nuggets without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter. Wednesday, you're getting the Lakers without Ariza, without Nunn, without LeBron at least. On Thursday, you're getting the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. Then on Saturday, the rematch in Utah, the Jazz will be ready for that after what happened on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, they'll be ready. By the way, there's a part of me that I wish they were healthy because with this Heat team, I don't fear any team in the NBA.
And there's always people who tell me they want to see the best, they want to beat the best. And
honestly,
I'm the opposite. I'm screw that. I know the wins and losses matter at the end of the year. One more win last season, the Heat are the number 4 seed. They're beating the Hawks in the first round. My world is completely different. So no, if you don't feel good, stay home. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I'd love to beat LeBron. So that would be fun if he was there. Follow him on Twitter. You're on the podcast at Ira Heatbeat. As always, catch his work at the Sun Sentinel. Please subscribe and support our local journalists who do a great job as always. Ira, safe travels, my friend. We will catch up on Wednesday at noon. Thank you for giving me an extra hour of sleep.
And bet responsibly, everyone. Thank you, guys.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.